So, I mean, as a piece of church music for Susie to walk down the aisle to, that would work really well, I think. Do you not?
Well, I couldn't hear it, but given the images on the screen, I can't see it being very suitable.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I
yeah.
thought it would have been.
But maybe it's my conservative tastes.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, you know. Oh my God! We're live. We knew, really. Honest, we did. We absolutely knew. Good evening, everybody. Hello, and welcome to the Haze Hour on vapour-elixir.tv. My name's Dave, and this is my mate Keith. I think you've already met him if you were watching last night.
Yes.
Yes. And after tonight's show, Keith's going to be posing for the picture for the thong. and we really are looking forward to that. Now, given the bother we've had of late, I don't know whether to try the titles. What do you think?
I don't know.
I will not bother with the titles. I'll keep them till the end, and if it crashes at the end, it doesn't matter. Yeah. Tonight, people, it's going to be off the top of our heads. I've laid out a whole load of stuff that we want to talk about. There's some stuff that I know Keith's thong won't suit Keith, Del Boy, honestly. But yes, good evening to everybody, and thanks so much for tuning in. Few new faces there that I don't recognise from when I went away. Tartan Mac, for instance, is a new one to me. Good evening, Tartan Mac. And Del Boy is asking the question, those of you that will be watching on the recording, have I ordered a 306 DCA yet? And the answer is yes, I have. At precisely 12:45 this morning. That's not the dinner time 12:45, it's the going to bed time 12:45. I ordered my 306 DCA and I'm thoroughly looking forward to it coming through, because I've been, I believe the American term is, racking a 306 in my UFS for the last 3 weeks with remarkably nice effect and enjoying it, and I do quite like the idea of being able to bung any old 306 onto some of my other devices that don't take too well to having liquid dripped all over them. So yes, in answer to your question, Del Boy, I have ordered my DCA. When you get yours, because I presume we'll get ours at about the same sort of time, Del, I'm going to bring you on the show if you'll do it, and we'll swap notes on them. How's that strike you? Yes, there you go. All good stuff. Evening, Rusty. I see Rusty's there as well. We'd probably better stumble on with the show, don't you think?
Yes, that would be a good idea.
Now,
yes.
I'm going to ask you what you have in your hat.
Right. I don't know how you describe it, but it's got a larger tank, and I find it's got also a rubbery kind of mouthpiece, which is very comfortable. Watch it.
I'm sorry.
Watch it.
I'm sorry.
The capacity of the tank, or well, it's not a tank. Really.
No, it's not a tank. We're not entirely certain what the capacity is. It's somewhere between 3.5 and 5 mils, and it is indeed. And I'm going to try and get this to a shop that shows it. Where is it? There we go. It's that one there. So while you were talking, Keith, I can show that this is what has already been spoken about. It is the 3.5 to 5 milliliter Mega Triple XL Super Duper Dual Coil Carto, which, as a few of you know, I took away on holiday, and before I went, I gave Keith one when I got back to try. So how have you been getting on with it?
Very well. I was just amazed at how long one filling lasted. You're talking about 2 to 3 days. 2 to 3 days?
Yes,
for one filling.
I fill mine 2 to 3 times a day.
No, well, being formerly a 10 a day man, but I must say I would have this in my mouth more than I would a conventional cigarette. But yeah, I'm very happy with it.
And you're running it on Ego batteries, aren't you?
If you say so.
I do say so, because you are. Well, Tornado batteries, but it's on an Ego at the minute. So I shall clag mine on here. How did you find filling it? Because there were no instructions.
No, I made the mistake, I think, when I first filled it, of overfilling it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, right, the white stuff at the bottom presumably you haven't got to go on filling it with juice after that filter has absorbed the liquid that I put in. So I would suspect I overfilled it. I lost a bit of juice as a result, but that was just the first time I filled it.
Where did it come out, the juice?
The juice came out of here.
All right.
A little bit out of there.
Out of the bottom.
And some out of the mouthpiece.
Got a little bit in the mouth, did you?
Yes.
That's a lovely taste, isn't it?
Yeah.
RY4 on the tongue.
Oh yes.
I love it. I do.
But yeah, I was very happy with it.
So you're getting 2 to 3 days out of one of
Yes.
those? Wow.
Yes.
And now, also, I mean, I know you use the low resistance tornado tanks, the cone-shaped ones rather than the bucket ones. If you were to compare the two, what would you say about them?
Right. This is perhaps more convenient in that, from my point of view, you don't have to fill it as much. I'm very comfortable with the softer mouthpiece.
Right.
In comparison to this one. Yeah, I'm more than happy with it.
I must admit, I do like the mouthpiece on these. It's not as whistle tippy and hard, and a lot of the other ones of that size do remind me of a pipe, and I want to, grip it
and of course, depending how you use it, that end piece can come off in your mouth.
Oh, on the tank.
Yes.
Yeah. To be honest, with the for the while that I was using the tornado tank, I took that little end piece out.
Right.
Just so that I didn't, give it a big inhale and end up with it down my lung.
Exactly.
Which was a little bit worrying. And again, probably people are not aware of what we're on about, and I bet I haven't got any. I have got something to prog it out with. Let me just again go to the big shot, and I'll try and show people. I don't know if you can see. I don't know how good the lighting is there, but if you were to stick a hypodermic into that, it will actually pop out, and there you see it. That's what fits in the end of the mouthpiece, and it works just as well without it.
I was just going to ask that. There's
well,
no
give it a try.
Right.
Give it a try, because it doesn't take a great deal of getting out, doesn't that? And it is just a little bit worrying.
Yes, I thought that at the time.
Yeah.
That you could accidentally get it into your mouth and swallow it or inhale it or what have you.
So I mean, for anybody that's got any concerns, you can just take that little bit out. I mean, I think it depends on how you use them, because my darling wife, she who must be obeyed, the light of my life, the flower of my existence, the light in my eyes. Do you think that's enough? Just in case.
I think so.
Just in case she's watching. So. She's been using those tanks now since January when they first came in, and I think only once has that little end bit fallen out. So that's probably not a bad kind of record to have. Now, I know we don't really understand throat hit, do we? You don't understand throat hit the way I do. No. But when you take a draw off the Carto, the DCC, the big one that we were sent from e-liquid.co.uk, e-liquid UK, UK e-liquid. I will get it right. You can tell them how to practice. From Ben, basically. One of the things I did discover was these things give me cracking throat hit, especially when I'm outdoors.
Right.
Now, I have to say, like most other people in the UK, we have had absolutely horrible weather this last week or so. So the opportunity for sitting outdoors in the garden doing, old nattering backwards and forwards hasn't really arisen, so we couldn't really give them a chat between us. But certainly when I was away in Lanzarote, these things were giving me throat hit when nothing else would. They are absolutely superb for it, and I can tell you I'm running it at 3.5 volts, not a very, very high voltage either.
Well, I mean, presumably, you describe throat hit, and obviously it depends the way you smoke it, whether you get a throat hit or you don't get a throat hit.
Well, if you were to do a lung inhale, I'm sorry for giggling, but are you aware that there's different ways of smoking a cigarette? Because you've been smoking longer than I was.
Tell me.
Well, apparently the youngsters these days, we learned off the films, didn't you really?
Yeah.
Humpty Go-Kart and people like that. And it would be very much a case if you would see that there was a drag into the mouth and then they sucked it down into their lungs.
Yes.
What you and I and probably Rusty and a fair few others would call the proper way to smoke.
Yes.
Because that's the way we always did it. But apparently there's young'uns now that are using these things like a straw. Well, no, not like a straw, like a snorkel. And
really?
Just breathing in through them, so it's not stopping in the mouth, it's going straight down into the lungs.
Right.
And that's called a lung inhale. And I'm like a fool, but I'm going to give it a blast on this just to see what happens, because the airflow is good enough to do that. And let's just see. You know how to work this if I pass out, don't you?
Yes, I do. Yes.
We'll give it a go, see what happens. Oh my God. Menthol last night and the lung inhale off the hardest hitting carto I've ever come across tonight. I want me head examined.
Best of luck.
Surprisingly, that's extremely pleasant.
Right.
The hit. You know that the sensation you get when you suck the smoke down into your lungs?
Yes.
That's what we call the throat hit.
Right.
But it didn't hit the throat. It was hitting about here.
Right.
Was where the sensation was. Just under my voice box. A little bit south of the clack sort of style.
Right.
It's throat. I can't believe it's lung drawable. It's lung drawable. I'm amazed. Yes, I could live with that. I wouldn't. Oh, wow! Take me on.
You're not going to need resuscitating.
Oh no, that's wow. That's a proper nick hit. I've got a buzz.
Yeah, but presumably the majority of people who smoke these don't do that. They're getting perfectly satisfactory smoke without the throat hit.
Well, throat hit. There's a lot of people like a good throat hit. No, Seabiscuit, I am not going to try it with menthol. Last night was the limit. It's not happening. Yes, for I am watching chat tonight, viewers, just to make a change. And the white bits for the ladies will be shown later on. I haven't forgotten. I will do that. Throat hit. There's a lot of us that look for a good, strong sensation in the back of the throat.
Right.
You've got. It's a bit like, going back to the old days, dragging on a silk cut.
Yes.
Where you ended up.
Well, you need a poultice on the back of your neck
to feel anything.
Yes.
And yet you're still actually getting the same volume of something in there.
Yes.
And without that sensation of something disappearing down into your lungs, what we call the throat hit, you kind of, well, am I actually doing anything?
Right.
That was what amazed me about the fag I had with my mate James while we were sitting beside the pool. It had no throat hit at all in comparison to these, and he found exactly the same when I gave him one of these to try. It was very much a case of, oh my God, that's really nice, So yeah, I think I have to say that these mega triple XL super duper dual coil cartomizers are a must buy. They really are, for just about everybody. I cannot think of anybody that won't suit. Now, while I was away, I managed to get one or two emails through, and I saw that Totally Wicked have got an exclusive on these ones with the skirt on. But I think I can. Ben, are you in chat? I cannot see. Can I tell them? If I can tell them, I will. I'm not getting anything other than Safer Cigs getting stung on the bum with stinging nettles. Silly boy. He's not in. Oh, right. I'm gonna assume that it's okay to tell you, Ben, who got these in first, together with the e-cig wizard guys, will be doing an unskirted version of these. So Totally Wicked might have these exclusively, but Ben will have them unskirted, so they will screw straight onto your Provari and probably straight onto your Darwin and anything else like that. They'll go straight on, so you just need a 510 connector. You don't need to put, I've been using the adapter to get them up onto a Provari or anything else. And all strength to Ben for doing that. That's going to give you a choice of suppliers and a choice of prices.
Right.
Because Ben's, I think, were a couple of quid each, and I think Totally Wicked's like £2 more for a pack of 3, right. Something like that. But for me, they are a must buy. As I said last night, we took 11 away. We had 4 of them on the go, and they've all been on the go kind of all the time while I've been around the pool. Not one's packed in. They've all worked superbly, and I know you've been very happy with yours.
Very happy.
I won't ask you for it back.
Oh, that's very kind.
I thought so. But there is going to be a charge.
Right.
And I'm going to ask you if you'll take your atomizer off there and put this one on, because I want you to do a juice review with me.
Right.
Now, there you go. That'll just screw in. And I've even gone to the strange lengths of getting another drip tip, because I know you don't know what drip tips are.
I don't know.
Right. If we have a look here, I'll try and hold it up against my shirt. That's what would be the cartridge.
Right.
And we're not going to use that. We're going to put this in, which is basically a hollow tube that fits in, but which will allow you to drip juice straight down into the top.
Right.
Okay. And I'm going to do the same. I'm going to run this one up on my Provari, I think, just because I can. And as people will have seen if you were watching that, these are brand new. Both low resistance. One's a Joy, and this one's come from Abe. Do you know my head's just not working?
Age.
It's an age thing, yes. Does it get worse?
It does, yes.
Oh God.
Yes, I'm afraid so.
That's not helping, is it? Right, so I'll put my drip tip on here. I'm using a big alley one because I like them, because I found it. That one was given to me by Jackie Plage, who's the lady that started the UK Vapors Forum. So I knew I had it somewhere, and I found it again, and I'm so pleased because that was a gift from her, and that makes it special for me. Now, this is a Griswold special, and it's come from Jason at Vaporscape, and it is e-cigz. Right.
Translate.
I'm not going to translate. I'm not going to tell you what it tastes of, but just to show you, we put 4 drops in there and let it soak in.
Right.
A little bit. I'll do the same on mine. And if I'm pulling a funny face, viewers, it's because I haven't got my glasses on, so I can't see what I'm doing. Age. Right. I'm not going to tell you what it's supposed to taste of.
Right.
Right. What I want you to do is to taste it and tell me what it tastes of.
Right.
Because I often think if you go into a juice knowing what it's supposed to taste like, you end up tasting what it's supposed to taste like instead of just tasting what it is. And with a name like e-cigz, the only thing I can get out of that is milk, because leche is Spanish for milk. That's the only thing I can get out of that, and the fact that I know Perpetua.
Right.
So I'm not going to tell you what it is.
So you don't put a tip on that at all?
Well, that's why it's called a drip tip.
Right.
So the idea is, rather than have your tank, as you've got in there, feeding the juice in, you do it manually with a little bottle.
Right.
It's minor faff.
Right.
Minor faff. Go on, give it a blast. Tell us what you think.
Now that's a completely different taste. It tastes milky.
Right.
And a bit coffee.
Ah ha ha ha! Coffee you're getting. And I've just put a little bit more in. Actually, that might be a tad dry. I'll stick another couple of drops in. There you are. That might.
Very pleasant, that.
It is, isn't it? It's what it is. No, go on. You tell me what you think, and I'm just gonna fiddle with this a little bit. I want to give it a little bit more hump. Oops, not that much hump.
It's like a rich quality coffee. That's how I would describe it. A rich quality milky coffee.
It is, isn't it?
Yes.
You know those the chocolate covered coffee beans you get?
Yes.
With, I think they're from Borders, with just a little hint of maybe vanilla flavouring or something like that.
Yeah.
Something quite sweet.
Yes, there is a hint of chocolate as well. You're right. Completely different experience. The one question I would ask, I may be just imagining this, but is the liquid, when you're drawing on this, actually going into your mouth?
No, shouldn't be. If you've put too much juice in when you drip it in, then it might. Are you getting any in, like?
A little bit, I think.
Just a little bit of juice?
Yes.
Is it unpleasant?
No.
No, that's alright.
No, not unpleasant.
Might give you the hiccups.
Yeah, that's a completely different smoking experience. That's pleasant.
Well, I'll tell you what, this Liberty Flight, I've remembered now, atomizer, the Provari doesn't like it for some reason, so I shall stick it on the Darwin, because the Darwin likes everything, and I'll get it up to my usual 8
So how
watts.
comes your thermometer?
The rectal thermometer, yes.
I wasn't going to say that bit, but...
Ah, that's very interesting. That's in street. It's dead. Ha! There you go. Atomizer dead on the show. Live. On the show. Atomizer died. Doesn't make me very happy, but never mind. So that's Perpetual-Lecce, one of Griswold's concoctions. I'll call it a concoction, for it is concocted. And for me, it's very nice.
Very nice indeed.
From Vaporscape.
So has that just come onto the market?
Well, it was brought out probably 5-6 weeks ago. I think the Griswold and Jason at Vaporscape got their heads together, and Vaporscape started selling them. The kind of almost bespoke.
Yes.
Made in the UK, which is a good thing.
Very good.
It's a good thing, and yes, I quite like it. I mean, it's not something that I would use all day, because while I like a cup of coffee, there's a limit as to how much coffee I want to be tasting during the course of the day.
Yeah, I mean, that's something you'd probably try occasionally as a pretty stark change to the normal run-of-the-mill juice, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's something that I could quite happily have after dinner of an evening, alongside a coffee.
Yes.
It would the two would balance quite nicely.
It reminds me a bit of when I used to smoke a pipe. I used to smoke these very light American flavoured tobaccos.
All right, yes.
And it reminds me, I mean, you can get a coffee flavour, a peach flavour, strawberry, whatever. And it reminded me very much of that. Smoking an American flavoured tobacco in a pipe.
Yes.
So that would be nice, probably, in an electronic pipe.
I think it would be very nice, and I can take a hint.
No, I'm just saying.
There you are. You can have that.
Oh, that's very kind.
That's no problem.
Thank you.
Well, pay it forward, that's what I say.
All right.
Pay it forward. All good stuff. Now then, Mighty Mouse is asking about flu cured. We'll have a look at some flu cured next week. I've got some.
Some what?
Flu cured tobacco.
Right.
That atomizer that you have now is probably going to be dead to anything else,
right.
Because that coffee, Perpetual-Lecce, does hang around a bit. It's quite a strong flavour, and it's difficult to get shot of. Not quite as bad as menthol, but it's weird. It's weird. You know, that there is actually a route that I'm taking here, and I'm hoping everybody picks up on it. But what we've just been doing with that is dripping.
Yes.
Okay. Now, can you imagine dripping and driving?
No.
No. You wouldn't, would you?
You wouldn't.
No. Because that would...
Even worse than using your mobile phone.
Absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt. Well, there's been something brought out, he said, pressing the right button, that might, hopefully, alleviate that problem. And there it is. And as you can see, it's got a little button on it. And that little button is effectively a drip button.
Right.
Is what it is. And these are quite interesting. Dead easy to fill. Again, I'll try and take this full screen, see if it works. Right, get into place. Now, as you can see at the top, this little cap just pulls off, which allows you to get your filler, your bottle, into the end there, and then it just plugs back on. Now, I'd come across these, a similar sort of filling thing with the Innikin Lee, strangely enough. My problem is I can't see to put it back on, and then you just push it back on. It's about as minimal faff as you're going to get.
Right.
Certainly a lot easier than the tanks.
Right.
And I've got one here on, yet again, a 510, already set up and full of juice. It's one I filled earlier. I've always wanted to say something
One
like
you
that.
filled earlier.
Yeah, one I filled earlier. I bet you can't guess what I filled it with.
RY5?
No, it's RY4 in this one.
Oh, right. I was going to try and second guess you there.
Ah, you see. And the idea behind it, he said, going back to full screen, is that when you press this button, it allows air into the top of the tube, which allows your juice to drop down onto your coil. And what I've found is if you hold it down for 5 or 6 seconds, it saturates the coil.
Right.
And then allows you to give it, pressing the wrong button, a blast.
Press just the normal...
The button at the bottom.
You see, we talk about something that you could operate when you're driving. I think one of the problems with an e-cigarette when you're driving is when you're drawing on the e-cigarette, you're driving the car with one hand, aren't you?
Yeah.
You know, I usually put mine in the ashtray and keep picking it up and having a couple of drags and putting it down. I mean, there's an advantage to that in that, I mean, it was more common 30 or 40 years ago. You know, when you went to the movies, you would see guys with a cigarette just dangling in their mouths, letting it burn away. And that was supposed to be one of the worst things that you could do.
No, I
do that.
I thought running the bus queue over was the worst thing you could do.
So yeah, but I mean, you can't have it all, can you?
Well, what I've discovered is...
I mean, you certainly couldn't hold that in your mouth.
No.
You know, you'd take your teeth out.
No, but when you think about it, I mean, again, these days a lot of people drive automatics, but in the good old days, you were changing gear and you drove with one hand and you learned how to.
Yes.
And
yes.
you know, it wasn't a problem.
Yeah.
And I still don't see it as being one. I mean, most of the time, I'm a two-handed man, but if I want to use my e-cig, I can. What I have discovered with this is that it's eminently possible to push that little button.
Right. And release more juice, right?
Without having to take your hand
yes.
and grasp it like that. You can just put your bottom lip over it. I can't really get it any closer. I'm not going to climb under the close-up camera.
Right.
But you get the button on your bottom lip, teeth over the top.
Yes. Right.
and that does the job.
Yeah.
So you can one-handedly drip and drive with these. That is clever.
It is clever, yes.
And so far, in my little tests, I haven't been able to flood it doing that. But you can see, well, the camera won't pick it up, I know for a certain fact, but you can see as you're dropping it down, you get little bubbles coming up.
Yeah.
I quite like these.
Yes.
For that I mean, in terms of how much they'll hold and how long they would last me,
yes,
it's nah. They're a bit on the small side.
Yes. You would wonder how much the tank capacity in that would be compared to that.
I think it's safe to say there is no comparison.
No,
There's
there
no
isn't.
comparison.
There isn't.
There's no comparison. A lot less. I mean, it would probably take 4 or 5 of these to fill one of those.
But, you know, beside the point, I mean, it's clever. It's innovative, isn't it?
So, what I'll do, because I'm good that way, I'm going to give you one of them and all.
Right.
So that'll go with the 510 you've got, you see.
Oh, all right. Yeah.
And apparently, it says on the box, they're made in China. Who knew?
Surprise, surprise.
Who knew? Who knew?
Surprise.
But yeah, great idea. Brilliant idea. If you're driving about the place, you can drip and drive. And it does, to me, it has the taste of dripping as well. Because there is a difference in taste between dripping and cartos.
Yes.
And yeah, quick, there you go. Very good. Very good. Again from Ben. UK e-liquid. But e-cigz have them. I think most of the vendors have them now. So that's kind of not bad at all.
Clever.
Yeah, very. But there's again, while I was away, and thank you to Dars at e-cigz for sorting me out with one of these. And I think these have probably been covered. But this is, I believe we can only call it a bud now. Am I right? We can just call it a bud. Can't use a sapphire word. I'm looking at chat to see. They're talking amongst themselves. Deary me. There might be a delay, I don't know. Alright, so it's just the bud. Thank you. Thank you. Just the bud. Now, these, clever. So let's try and, I'm going to try and fill one on camera. And I realise this is going to look really weird. So, you take the tip off. Take the tip off, and as you can see, especially if I get it up really close there, there's a little witch's hat pointy thing on it. Yeah? And that has to come up. Well, you can get your thumb under it and pull it out. And it's a good idea because it's so tiny to put it down where you know where it is. And then you need your bottle. And in this case, I'm going to be a little devil. And I'm going to use a juice I've never ever tried before in my life. And with one of these vapourworld.co.uk bottles, you can just put it through the little hole, and that's it. That's the job done. 'Tis filled. Then you take your little witch's hat, and you can see the little hole where it's got to go in. In it goes. That's the little plug in. And then on you go with your mouthpiece. Now, the coil is down here at the bottom, right? In exactly the same way as it would be with a normal atomizer, and the vapour comes up a little flatted out bit up here, just up there. So let's stick that on the Darwin and see how it goes. Now, the beauty about the Darwin, of course, is I don't actually care what resistance this is, whether it's low resistance, high resistance. Don't actually care, because the Darwin takes care of all of that for you. And I know from past experience that I can dial this to about 6.5 watts and it will serve me nicely. and that is delightful. Have a blast. Buttons there. It's a bit of a tight draw, but I can change that. You need to press it again. Keep it pressed. That's it.
Yes.
There you go. Keep it pressed. You know, you ran out of pressage there.
Try again.
Yeah, it's quite a steady press. What do you reckon of that?
Yes.
That's
nice.
That is. Oh, aye. Bit of throat hit.
Yes, there was a bit of throat hit there. Yes, I took more in than I should.
Bit of throat hit. I think that's the thing. That's what we used to use with cigarettes to tell you when you'd taken a big enough draw, was because it did more than tickle at the back of the throat.
Yeah.
But that's the bud with no sapphire on it. And what I'll do is I'll just slacken it off on the connector a bit, and that'll ease the draw. And with the Darwin, I tend to use my thumb on there like that, and I have the mouthpiece at an angle.
Right.
And I'm running out of juice on it, running out of battery on it. I should have charged it up last night and I didn't, I forgot. But that's extremely nice. And just to compare it, we'll stick it on the Provari as well. Provari, tomato, potato,
right,
whatever. You keep looking quizzically at that big thing there.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Why? What?
Well,
it is not an Ann Summers object.
No, and that never even crossed my mind, David.
That is really nice. I do like the flavour of that.
It is a nice flavour.
It is, isn't it? It's you know, I like RY4 and I love the way the flavour's coming out of there. So that's from, as I said, e-cigz has sent me them, and I have no idea what he's charging them. What he's charging for them.
So what would you guess will be the capacity there? It looks quite...
It's going to be around about 1 mil.
Right.
There or thereabouts. Right. It's around about 1 mil. You can tell just by looking at it. Again, I'd actually like to see that in a 3 or a 5 mil.
Yes.
That would work very nicely for me, I think. I'm enjoying that. It's got good throat hit. Good flavour. It's a very, very nice piece of kit, and it's 1.4 mil. Thank you, Daz. 3 mils on the way soon. Oh, good lad. It's what we like to hear. And £4.50 for the pair, is it? £2.25 each. £4.50 for two. There you go. £2.25 each. So there you are. There's one in its box.
All right. Thank you. Yes, sir. Yeah, I'll try that.
Good.
I'm going to need to have a room devoted to all of this stuff.
Well, that's what this is.
Yes, it is. Yes.
You know,
yes.
I mean, you've just look at this wonderful decor and this big telly screen up here and everything behind. It's pretty
technology at its best.
Oh, absolutely. Is that with an apostrophe before the S or or not? No.
At its best.
At its best.
Yes.
No apostrophe before the S. Kind of blasted through those three quite quickly, really. So I suppose I really ought to keep my promise to the ladies and show them the white bits.
Right.
I think I should do that.
Want me to go?
No.
All right.
That's quite fine. That's quite fine. Willow Fairy's here. She was a little bit worried that she was going to miss the white bits, and you know, it ain't a problem. Hiya, Willow Fairy. Just there, where my watch sits. That is, I have to tell you, the only white bit. There are no others. Well, under my wedding ring, but I daresn't take that off.
Right.
The only white bit. Which leads me back to Lanzarote. Did you know, I'm going to talk to you because you're actually here.
Right.
They've banned smoking in restaurants and bars in Lanzarote.
Right.
the very last place on the planet I thought would do it. They've banned it. And the local barkeepers in Arrecife, which is the capital of Lanzarote, lovely place, every year they fund a fiesta.
Right.
And it's not cheap. The fireworks at the end of the fiesta alone would cost €20,000. Right?
A lot of money.
It's a lot of money. So the bar owners and the restaurant owners in Arrecife fund this fiesta because it takes place on the streets, and it's great fun, great fun. And that was supposed to happen, I think it was in February or March. And I'm really hoping there's publicans and restaurateurs and bar owners and what have you tuned in and listening to this, because I think what the people in Arrecife did, we should be doing worldwide whenever anything like this comes in. They just said, yeah, if you want your fiesta, lift the ban.
Right.
If you don't lift the ban, we ain't going to pay for it.
So what you're saying is they brought in this legislation which clearly is quite different to mainland Spain, where
it's in mainland Spain as well.
Right. Most of the hotels in mainland Spain provide a smoking room with comfortable, easy chairs.
Yes.
If you want to smoke, you can go in.
The lepers room.
And now why, depending on the geography of hotels and public houses in this country, they can't do that, is beyond me.
I've never understood it. I've never understood it. There are places, there's pubs you and I go to, where they could very easily put a separate room.
Yes. Yes.
And there's pubs, and Rusty will bear me out on this one, there's pubs he goes to, and I go to, and you go to, where all the staff smoke, the landlord smokes, and everybody that goes to the bloody pub smokes.
Yes.
And yet, you cannot. Everybody's got to go outside for one.
I mean, the fact you'll see a guy who's running his own small business, it could be any kind of business, and actually has to go outside to have a cigarette, to me borders on the ludicrous.
Well, fact is, if you consider that vapourtrails.tv is a business, it's a fledgling one and it's not making any money, but it's a business.
Yeah.
In theory, this here, where we're sitting now, is a place of business. In theory, even though it's in my house, we couldn't, if we wanted to, spark a cigarette up. In theory.
Yes, if you look at that as a sort of extreme example.
What, they're applying it? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you, I don't know, I mean, I don't know what home-based businesses do, but let's, for argument's sake, say you clipped ingrown toenails as a business on a night.
Yes.
If you had a customer coming in to get his ingrown toenail clipped, you couldn't smoke in that room where he's going to get done.
Because that at that time is your place of business.
Absolutely. Isn't it ludicrous, eh?
Well, I mean, it's like, this country's interpretation of any kind of questionable legislation, isn't it? They embrace it.
Oh, yes.
You wouldn't find the French doing that, for example, or the Italians.
Or the Greeks.
Or the Greeks, for that matter.
Yes, the Greeks just say, no, sorry, we want to smoke, we're going to smoke, end of.
Oh, well, good for the people of Fuerteventura.
Well, it was...
Sorry, Lanzarote.
Well, the interesting part about it was, because this ban had been taken in, my wife, you know what she's like. She hates confrontation.
Yes.
You know what I'm like.
Yes.
I love confrontation.
Yes.
So she's saying, if you must take an e-cig, take one of these. Take a little one. And I said, I am not taking a little one. I'm going to take what I want to take, and we'll see where we get. And I've got enough Spanish to be able to apologise and run if I need to. So we went in, on the Friday night was the first night we went out, and we went into a little place that we use quite a lot, a little tapas bar called Don Jamon, which serves the most luscious tapas. It really is nice. If anybody's going out there, give them a try, on the strip in Puerto del Carmen. And we sit indoors beside the bar. Because where it's placed, it's in a ludicrous place really for what it is, because it's right on the strip, but it's very much local Spanish Canarian cuisine.
Yes. And
there's an awful lot of Spaniards use it, or Canarians I should say use it. Anyway, we went there, and I'd taken the Provari, and I had one of me DCCs on it, And I'd taken, as per usual, because don't go anywhere without it.
Yes.
Yes. Aye. My GG. Tooled up with a 306. Now, as we've seen from both the DCC and this thing, it's like a steam train, pair of them. And Jill was saying, blow it down, blow it down. I said, look, it's fine. When we were in last year, they were commenting on the e-cigs I was using then and asking what they were about. So we sat there, and as per usual, David was giving it hot licks, sometimes between courses. I know, how obscene. And at the end of the meal, while we're having a few drinks and chatting with Luis, that owns the place, and his missus, and they were pointing them out to the Spanish folks that were in there. And basically what they were saying in Spanish was, these are a great idea. You can be indoors where the air conditioning is, and you can smoke electrically.
So you had no hassle from other customers?
Not anywhere. Not anywhere at all.
Interesting, that.
And we used a fair few restaurants and bars over there, and I had absolutely no hassle anywhere. Indeed, walking down the strip, if anybody's ever been to PDC, Puerto del Carmen, the strip there is nearly 3 miles long.
Right.
And it's punctuated every 100 yards or less by a shop run by an Indian continental person.
Right.
Right. And they sell technology stuff, video cameras, cameras, Walkmans, little technology toys, Game Boys and stuff like that. At least that's what it says on the box.
Right.
Yes. You're never sure. And as I was walking, as you're walking past, they go, you want to come and see? And it's kind of, well, no, not really. But instead of saying, do you want to come and see? They were saying, excuse me, sir, what kind of electronic cigarette is that? So they knew about them.
Right.
They knew about them. And most of the time it would be either the Provari with the DCC or the GG, either one. And I was explaining to them, so I'm fully expecting that by this time next year, all of these little technology shops,
I'll be selling them.
They'll all be flogging decent e-cigs. And the other thing I should say as well, and this made me giggle.
Did you actually see any of the locals who already had one?
There was a lady on our complex where we stay at Las Calas that was smoking a Lucky Likey on zero nick. It was one of these jobs.
Oh, right.
A lot like one of these. And she was smoking it with zero nicotine and thoroughly enjoying it. And quite happy with it. And she'd said that she didn't want to stop smoking, but she kind of felt that nicotine, she wanted to be out of nicotine, have nicotine out of her life, but she didn't want to stop the habit, if you like.
Yes.
So she'd cut herself down, and she was using the e-cig with zero nick and thoroughly enjoying it. Yeah. She laid out there on the sunbed, e-cig in the hand, novel in the left hand, and she's given it 6 nout, and there was no bother.
So it was
at all.
really the process, the routine. It wasn't the nicotine, the comforter in a way.
Yeah, I mean, you know, my dad, when he was alive, he always used to say it was just an adult's dummy.
Yes.
And to some degree it is.
Yes.
In my case, it's a dummy that's become a hobby.
Yes.
In many ways. I love the technology behind them and stuff like that. It's quite amazing.
Oh, the technology is very clever.
It is, isn't it? Who'd have thunk it? That you could heat up something that would produce a vapour and use that to carry nicotine.
And that doesn't leave a smell.
Well, you say that now.
Yes.
But I'm going to get some juices to you that might.
Right.
But it won't be a nasty smell.
Right.
There's one I was using, I nearly finished it while I was over there, that I reviewed before I went away. The Pink Spot Vapors, gins, fruit, salad I think it's called. It tastes like jelly babies and it smells like them as well.
Right.
It's really nice, but it does leave a lovely sweet smell.
My wife has a weakness for jelly babies.
Has she?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes, so.
Buy an e-cig and some of that with no nicotine and she'll be fine. I maybe shouldn't have said that. I'll get wrong in the chat now. You watch. Who's that? Gary Dibley has a sister that's lived abroad for 12 years. There you go. It's a Dobby. A Dobby. Yes, I suppose it is. So I and I was going to try and fill everybody else in on the stuff that I'd taken and how it had worked out. And one of the other things that went with me was the iAti, and didn't have to re-wick or recoil that either. And this has been an absolute beast. It's yes. Even with the technology that we're using here, no backlight at all, that I've put the vapour out. Go on, have a try of that. Now, there is a different juice in there, and you are right this time. I see a look of satisfaction on your face there.
Yeah, nice.
What do you make of that?
Yes, that's very nice.
Yes.
So what's that?
That's our Y5.
Oh, all right.
That is.
I guessed it probably was.
That
yes.
that is the RY5 that vapourworld.co.uk is going to be putting out. And I said I can't review it because I designed it, but I would love if you would tell everybody that's watching what you were getting out of that.
That I found was very pleasant, more than satisfactory. It would do me.
Well, try and describe the flavour if you can.
I can't really. I can't describe the flavour. I can't sort of, pick out any features of the flavour.
So what's the general kind of tonality of it, for want of a better word?
Right, it's not harsh, it's smooth, it compares favourably with the RY4, perhaps a trifle stronger than the RY4.
Mm-hmm.
But nothing in terms of flavour when I compare it with the RY4.
Right.
It's the strength rather than a difference in flavour.
There should hopefully be a difference in flavour, but of course we've got that on. Right. I'll tell you what I'll do. Ooh, I don't know if I've got enough. I wonder if I might be able to fill one of these buds up, and then you can back to back it with RY4. How's that strike you?
Right.
Whoops. Dropping little bits.
It's reaching the stage here where I'm getting confused, you see.
Oh no. No need to get confused. Do I need to do this on camera again? RY5, it's on its way into the country, Vapour Man. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that Paula will have it like next week. It's roughly more or less what I was expecting, but I'm not. I couldn't tell you for absolute certain, but it's imminent. It's very, very close to being in. I have to say I like it, but then I would. Can it not really. Right. I won't ask you to bend over. I'll have to syringe it because I don't think the nozzle will get into the. Come on, suck it up. I don't think the nozzle will make it into the bud itself. As luck would have it, I've got just enough, I think, to be able to get it half full, if not completely full. These are my little sample bottles. These are the final flavour. And I must admit I do like it. I think the Kang's done a marvellous job with the brief I gave them. And it will become a staple, I'm here to tell you. Right, and into the bud. I'll do it at arm's length, dead easy. So it's going to be slightly less than full capacity. Oh, there we go. And the little witch's hat. On it goes, and the mouthpiece. snaps into place, and we'll stick it on. We'll stick it on this one, shall we?
Right.
So that on the silver is the RY5 in the board. There you are, young sir, and I'll stick the RY4 on the black one.
Right.
It'll take a couple of drags to get through, I would think.
That's interesting because that tastes different to what it was like in there.
Oh yes.
That's coming out as a creamy, toasty kind of flavour.
I'll have a drag off that while you have a drag off that.
Now that's really interesting because there's a marked difference now between that and that.
Yeah.
And that, I would say, is more flavoursome.
I'm so pleased you've said that because it points out the difference between atomizers. I'll give you that back to enjoy because I know what it's like.
Yeah. Right, so why does that taste so different in this than it does in that?
That's the $64,000 question. The coil in the IATI is exactly what you make it for.
Right.
Because you make the coil yourself, you make the heating element and the wick yourself. Right. And that, the space that it's in, the configuration of the coil, the amount of space it takes up, there's all sorts of differences in it. With these, because they're produced to a template, I suppose, they're all pretty much the same. So this one and that one will do exactly the same to the flavour. But if we were to put it into a 510, as before, it would taste different again.
Well, as I said earlier, I struggled to find a difference before.
Yes.
But there's a marked difference now.
Right, so how would you characterise it now? And you've got the RY5 in the silver one.
A smoother smoke. It has flavour that the RY4 doesn't have. A creamy sort of slightly smoky flavour.
Yeah.
So yeah, I see a marked difference now between the two, which I didn't see before.
Well, what I'm going to try to do, because are you with us next Thursday, or can you be?
Yes.
Right. What I'm going to try to do for next Thursday is give you the full set of RYs. So RY, RY2, RY3, RY4 you've got, and the RY5 you've got as well.
Right.
So you should hopefully be able to see the development, because the brief behind the RY5 was to take the series on, and that, I hope that's what I've done. So it's not produced to be just to my taste. Right. I've tried to move the series along with it, you know.
Well, if you have no objection, I'd try my brother-in-law out on that as well.
By all
and
means.
See what feedback I get from him.
Absolutely, by all means. Got no problem with that at all. And I've also got RY5 in this, which is the Fog King tank.
Right.
Now, I'm very pleased that you had elocution lessons as a youngster.
Right.
Because you've
How
got
did
to be,
you know that?
Because you told me when first we met.
All right. I don't know why I told you that. It's something I don't usually.
Well, you're not alone. Because that's RY5 in there as well. There'll be a couple of drags left in it lately. And it's different again.
I can. Yeah, it is. The flavour in there is completely different. It's got a lemonade-y, to me, kind of taste to it.
I've tried it in everything I could get my hands on from 801s through 901s to 510s to everything I could possibly try it in, to make sure that what was in there carried the RY tradition through. So however RY4 tastes to you in whatever your device of choice is, RY5 will build on that. It'll be a bit more smoky, I hope.
I mean, that really interests me, because I never thought for one moment that you get a variation, such a distinct variation between putting the same liquid in different models.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. This is why last night I was telling everybody that you really, really, really need to go to Vape Fest, and if we do the Vapor Trails road shows, you really, really need to go to these things, because there you can get hold of all of these different atomizers. I mean, I know, well, you've just got to look on UKV and see all the different vendors and dealers that are going, and you'll be able to try all of these bits of kit, all the atomizers at all the voltages and all the wattages with all of the juices. They'll all be there, and it gives you the opportunity, I think a brilliant opportunity, to settle on what is the best for you at that time.
Yes.
And it's like we were saying the other day, the Ego or Tornado suits you down to the ground size wise, and so on and so forth. And I'm very much, I like it big and chunky, you know. But I do have 3 weapons of choice, if you like, and there's none of them tiny, but I've got 3 weapons of choice, and probably 3 atomizers of choice. And what I'll do in shows further down the road, I'll do my top 3s on all sorts of things, and I'll tell you why, you know. But yeah, if you get across to Vape Fest, because Wayne's done a hell of a job putting it together and really does deserve all the claps on the back he can get, you're going to be able to pick all of these things up and try them. And you know, what's a 510 with a dripping Carto on a GGTB with a 17670 in it really like? Or what's it like with a bud in it? Or what's it like with the IATI on it? Or
well, I've certainly learned something from that, because I just assumed, obviously naively, that you put a liquid in any of these models and it would taste the same.
Oh no,
but it doesn't. There's distinct differences.
Oh, I mean, there are certain juices that for me go with certain atomizers, and that's, or cartomizers, and that's the way I use them.
Yes.
There's no other way. That's exactly what it is I want to use it, you know. That's how I want it now, and that's the combination that works, and that can happen with an awful lot of people. I mean, I was always a 901 man.
Right.
We'll do those later. We'll not do them tonight.
Right.
I was always a 901 man, because a 901 to me gave me the best flavour in RY4 or with RY4, and a 510 to me sucked the flavour out. But then I discovered that for me I wanted acres and volumes of thick billowing chewy vapour, and I could take flavour not being quite as good as a 901, which was where the UFS came in, and where the IATI comes in.
Yes.
Because I can get barrel loads out of them. Now these, the DCCs, the extra super mega Dave size DCCs, these suit me down to the ground.
That's the rubber end.
Yeah, the rubber ended one, because they give me a lovely combination of flavour, massive volumes of vapour, and barrel loads of throat hit. I mean, they are superb. And I'd noticed earlier on.
Well, the couple of days I've used that, I found it more than satisfactory.
Right. We've just actually had a question from Bez for you.
For me?
Yes, for you. The RY5.
Yes.
Bez wants to know what you think it tastes best on of what you've tried. So I'll take the RY4 out of the way. So you've had it on that one, and that one.
Right. I'm getting a bit mixed up here. We tried it first of all, and I said there couldn't be any difference.
On the IATI.
The second one would be this one, was it?
No, that was the second one.
The second one is marginally the better one for
Right.
me, but that doesn't mean to say that lemonade one, and I may have the flavour on, but that's how it comes across to me, is very pleasant as well.
Yes.
But if I had a choice, and I could have one or the other, I would edge towards that one.
Towards the bud.
Yeah.
I hope that helps, Bez. And I've got to say that for me, the flavours that I was trying to get in there do come out best in the bud of those three.
Yes.
It's really, really nice. What I haven't done, because I only had 20 mils of, excuse me, hiccups, I only had 20 mils, I didn't fill one of the DCCs up with the RY5. But I think when the stocks come through,
Yes.
we might sit and have a taste test of RY5 in various different atomizers,
Right.
because I think your palate might be a little bit more educated than mine. Well, I'm just a heathen.
Right.
I don't mind admitting it, I'm just a
Yes.
heathen.
Now, you see, I'm now faced with all these different ones, and no doubt I'm going to have to come back to you for you to remind me what I should be using in what, because, I mean, you know, my technical...
that's the beauty about living next door.
It is, yes. But that is very pleasant.
Mm. The more I try it, and the more I use it, the more I like it. And now, and as I said, I'm not going to review it per se. The only thing I can say is it really is to my taste, and I think it carries it on. So we'll not blether on too much about RY5, because I notice we got carried away.
Yeah,
It's
the
6
time's
minutes past.
Yes,
It's 6 minutes
quickly.
past. I'm sorry if it feels. It may well feel as though you've been watching two old blokes having a conversation. And in fact, you have been watching two old blokes having a conversation all about e-cigz. And Vapor Man, quite honestly, we probably could blether on for 2 hours, but I think 1 hour of my face is enough for anybody.
Well, certainly 1 hour of mine.
Thank you, Harlequin69. It is really, really good to be back. Last night and tonight have actually made my week. Is there anything else I want to cover before we go?
Do you want to mention that?
Ah, yes. Thank you, Keith. These, you may remember, before we went away, and I'm going to stop saying that next week, maybe. But before I went away, both Keith and I had these disposable e-cigs, which come from Safer Cigs, to try. And I asked Keith if he would use it exclusively and come back and let us know how it went. And then, of course, being an idiot, I diddled off on holiday. So there you are. Is it dead now, this one?
Well, I put it away because it was dead. Then I brought it out again, and
It's lit up.
it's almost gone though.
No, that could be the cartomizer that's empty.
Right. So you can do.
Oh yes, you can stick a bit of juice in.
Now you told me that this was a sort of disposable.
Well, it is, but that's usable.
Right. I didn't know that.
So, hang on. Just going to try something very quickly. Just put a few drops in.
Now, if I'd known that.
Rub the cartomizer between the hands.
So what have you put in that?
RY4.
Right.
I tend to put RY4 in everything because, as you can see, there's 2 litres up on the shelf there. Yeah, it's flashing.
Yeah. Now, this, and I think tonight helps to demonstrate, someone who wants to introduce themselves to e-cigarettes, and quite clearly there's a whole mass of pretty confusing data, is there not, for a beginner? So you've got one of those, and somebody who hasn't tried them is going to be reluctant to go out and spend maybe 40 or 50 quid on the full kit without having a chance to try one. And that, to me, if they were to come out and be marketed at a reasonable price,
£4.
right, maybe a bit less than that. I don't know.
Don't be so tight.
But you know, depending how they were marketed, and providing there was sufficient information with them about e-cigarettes, the principles of e-cigarettes and all the rest of it, that to me is an ideal introduction.
Yes.
And it would allow people over a period of, if it lasted 24, 48 hours, to think, well, I could get away with one of those, I like that.
See if I can get a drag out of it.
So I thought that had a lot going for it as a starter, as an introduction to e-cigarettes.
Yes.
And the kind of thing that, you know, dare I say, it could even be displayed on a bar counter or something, or in the newsagents, or wherever.
I tell you what I think, and somebody's probably going to have a pop at me for this, but I don't care. I think they can be got in bulk cheap enough. Now, Daz and Ben and the rest of them will know what these things cost, so they can advise. But I would think it would be eminently possible for a pub to buy them from a good wholesaler in the UK,
Yeah.
who doesn't make a massive markup on them. They could give them away.
Well, yes.
With a card that says, if you like these, you can get more from www.
Yes.
We do e-cigz.co.uk, or
Yes.
wherever it happens to be.
Yes.
And from a landlord's point of view, if you give a good customer one,
Yes.
now if it's diddling down outside,
Yes.
and rather than say everybody trips out, because to be honest, the smell of wet smokers coming back in, it's dire.
Well,
It's
it
not
is.
good. Skanky hair and everything, and I'm only talking about me and lasses from Hendon here, I should mention. But I mean, you know, if they did that, then it's a proof of concept on a night when you need a proof of concept. It's no good giving them it in the middle of August when it's bright sunshine.
You know,
and
you can imagine the sort of typical average smoker would start off, I would guess, being very sceptical about e-cigarettes. So here's a cheap way to try it over a period of time, and see if they take to it, and see if they get a reasonable level of satisfaction out of using one. That's how I see it.
As I say, I haven't been able to get in touch with him over the last couple of days. I wish I had been able to, otherwise I'd have got James in on Skype tonight. Because he had a couple of Tornado 1000 milliamp hour batteries, and as I say, the DCCs, and 2-3 days they got him through 2-3 days between them without any refills or anything. One had the e-cigz in because he loves coffee,
Yes.
and the other one had RY4.
Right.
He was using the RY4 around the pool and the e-cigz overnight, and there was no cost attached to it for him.
Right. Well, thinking, sort of looking back, if I interpreted literally what you meant by it's disposable, it's to try. If I'd known I could put more juice in at the time it packed in, I could have probably gone on using it because the battery would have probably still been fairly active.
Okay. What roughly speaking, what number of cigarettes worth of use did you get out of it?
Right.
You're saying 24 hours at last.
Right. Well, you gave it to me at 6 o'clock one evening.
Aye.
And I used it the following morning and through till 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Right.
And it stopped working. As
Right.
I say, if I'd known that, I could have probably got a longer time out of it.
Yes. Yes. Because I sometimes wonder what the recovery time is with batteries. You know, they do seem to get a little bit of... Well, that one has.
Well, yeah, I mean, it must have lain there for, 3 weeks since just before you went away?
From I mean, as we said yesterday, and from my point of view, I really do think that they're a great idea, and at the right price. And £4 to me is the right price. You're just not gonna you can't do it any cheaper as a vendor, I wouldn't have thought, and actually make a couple of bob.
Well, I suppose
you know,
if you got 24 hours out of it, and you smoke 20 a day, well, you'd be saving money, wouldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
£4.
Absolutely. Well, even then, I mean, you know, if you're not going to go out when it's putting cats and dogs out outside and the wind's howling past. I mean, there's gigs I've been on over the last, well, how long is it now since they brought the ban in?
4 years, will it be?
It's about that.
4 years?
Yeah, at least that. I mean, there's gigs I've been to, and there's folks being stood outside, huddled under sheepskin coats and hats on, scarves round, fingers freezing, having 2 or 3 fags between band sets, and then coming back in and just sitting there shivering because they dragged through the skin and freezing cold, not very happy. The band's second set hasn't gone down all that well, because I mean, in this part of the world, in the rest of the UK, I think the incidence of smokers is around 23% is the national average. 23% of people smoke.
Much higher here.
But up here, it's very, very much closer to 60%. I'll tell you that, and a lot of the young girls.
Yes.
A lot of the young girls. But I mean, you're looking at a large proportion of the audience disappearing as the last strain of Sweet Home Alabama gets plucked out, and then they diddle off outside, and you can hear the flick of biro lighters going.
Yes.
And everybody's huddled, trying to keep each other warm. There's a good big fog comes up, and then they all come back in, kind of on the second bar of I am.
When you think about it in those terms, it's an offence to your personal dignity, isn't it?
Well, I think it's all wrong. I mean, I really do think the smoking ban is the most iniquitous thing that ever occurred.
I mean, I would really accept that in a restaurant, yes, I can fully accept that. But there's a lot of pubs who have the accommodation to provide a separate room for smokers. So, you know, why a blanket ban, full stop?
Well, it's the government that was in at the time.
Well,
and I think it was all part of them trying to control the nicotine supply, but I don't want to get too political at this point, because you know what I'm like when I don't want to do that. I'm going to say a big thank you to our friends at e-cigz for sending me these buds up, because this is proven to be a most satisfactory piece of kit. It's kicking like a mule. And it's producing cracking vapour. It's a far cry from them naff CE3s that I had that didn't work.
Yes.
Way better than a CE2. These are nice, and nicely priced as well. I'm going to have some more of these. For those occasions when I have to be a little bit posh.
Yes.
We have one coming up in October, of course.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're going to use that piece of music I played at the top of the show.
I'm completely oblivious to what music you use. I mean,
well, I'll get you the sheet.
Wouldn't be my cup of tea.
I think it'd be a cracking hymn at a wedding.
Do you think so?
I think it would. I think if everybody in the chat room was to say so, I'm sure my daughter would love to have that as I walk in.
Maybe they're like playing it on a church organ.
You do know what it was called, don't you?
You did mention it, but I've forgotten.
I want pussy.
All right.
It's a soft drink.
Right.
I'll get you some for the next show you're on.
Oh, that's very kind. Is it alcoholic?
No, it's a soft drink.
All right.
I drank quite a lot of it while I was on the wagon.
I'm not into soft drinks really. But,
well, I'm not anymore now that I've dropped off the wagon. I quite like a bit of booze. It's all good fun. People, thank you so much for joining Keith and me tonight. We've thoroughly enjoyed your company. I've thoroughly enjoyed the what? I'm just reading the chat.
Keith on pussy. Yes, I can see that.
Jeff, you can indeed see Keith tasting pussy live. I'm going to sort that out. I absolutely am. Can I say thank you so much? You've kept us quite entertained with what's been going on in chat. I'm going to go back and read it from top to bottom as we can do, and just read what's been going on in there. I hope you've enjoyed this show as much as we have. Indeed, I will say this: if you've enjoyed the show half as much as we have, then we'll have enjoyed it twice as much as you.
Very much.
That's pretty much the case. So I'm just realised what I said. So until we see you next time, I'll probably see you next Wednesday. And Keith, I hope will we see you next Thursday?
Yes, up to now I can't see a problem
Super
with that.
duper, and you'll report back on all the bits and bobs.
I will, yes.
I think I might need to give you a few more batteries as well.
Right, Owen. Yes. right. I'll.
We might need to say about you getting one of those big chargers from DW.
It's looking like that.
Reckon the joint. Reckon the joint.
Yeah,
right, and so I love it when it all goes to pear-shaped. It's really nice. And I wouldn't care. I'm so sorry to the lads at Vaporscape. I was going to look at Golden Virginia tonight, and I didn't get to it. But I'll have a look at that for the next show. I'm going to try and do a Griswold juice once a week as well. So until we see you next time, thank you so much for being with us. This is Dave and his white bit, and Keith saying thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Good night.
Good night. Herbal medicines. I see in the chat room